He started writing the letter at night. The first lines were clear, steady. Then he stopped. The page stayed open. By morning, it was still there. It was never sent. A foxhole at the edge of a forest. Western Europe, winter 1944. The soldier had a notebook balanced on his knee, a pencil. The light was a small, shielded lamp that gave just enough to write by. He had been trying to finish the letter for 3 days. The first paragraph was already written. It told his mother he was well, that the food had improved, that he was with good men. The sentences were short and careful and not entirely true. He read them back. Then he set the pencil down. His fingers were stiff from the cold. He pressed them flat against his knee for a moment before picking the pencil up again. Outside, the temperature had dropped further. He could hear the man on watch shifting position in the cold. He wrote 2 more lines. He read them. He crossed them out. He turned the page slightly toward the lamp. The light didn't help. The notebook stayed open on his knee until his eyes closed. In the morning, he folded the page without reading it and put it in the inside pocket of his coat. He pressed it flat against his chest with one hand. He did not take it out again that day. The letter had no ending. It had no date at the top. It began mid-thought and stopped mid-thought. It stayed in the coat pocket through 3 more weeks of that winter. The letter was found in his coat. His mother received it in the spring. It had no ending and no date. Stalingrad, December 1942. A man sat against a wall in a building that still had 2 standing sides. His coat was buttoned to the collar. He was writing with his gloves on, which made the letters uneven. The paper was from a small notebook issued earlier in the campaign. He was on one of the last pages. He wrote his wife's name at the top, then a date. He had to think about it. He got it wrong by 2 days and did not correct it. He began. He described the city as it had been when they arrived, the buildings before they became what they were now. He wrote about a particular street that had trees along it. He wrote that he thought about that street. He stopped. He held the pen above the page without writing. A drop of ink spread across the corner of the page. He looked at it. He did not blot it. He turned the page over and held it against his knee. Outside, artillery. The walls shifted slightly with each impact, a movement he had stopped noticing weeks ago. He set the paper face down on his knee and sat with his hands in his coat pockets. His breath was visible in the cold air inside the building. He did not pick up the pen again that night. The next morning, the paper was still face down where he had left it. He folded it twice and put it in the breast pocket of his coat. The fold was uneven because of his gloves. He did not know the address anymore. He had known it for years, and now it would not come. He thought about it for a while. Then he stopped and went back to his position. The folded paper stayed in the pocket. The address was never completed. The letter was never finished. The pocket it was in was never emptied by the man who filled it. The Pacific, an island, late 1944. The soldier had 7 letters from home stacked under his mattress. He had read each of them more than once. The edges of the oldest ones had softened from handling. He had been trying to answer the most recent one for 2 weeks. He took a blank page out in the evening when the light was still usable. He put it flat on the small table in the tent. He picked up his pen and turned it once in his fingers before setting the nib to the page. He wrote the date. He wrote her name. Then he put the pen down and read her letter again. It described an ordinary week. A neighbor's dog. Rain on a Tuesday. A photograph she had found in a drawer. He set the letter down and looked at the blank page. He picked up the pen. He wrote one sentence, that he had received her letter and was glad she was well. He looked at it for a moment. He crossed it out slowly, pressing harder than necessary. Someone called his name from outside the tent. He didn't answer. He put the pen on the table and folded the blank page in half. He smoothed the fold with his thumb. He put it under the mattress with the others. The next morning, the blank page was still there, folded between 2 of her letters. He did not take it out again for several days. He survived the war. He never sent a reply to that letter. He kept her letters until the end of his life. The blank page was found among them. A movement order. Europe. 1944. The letter was on the ground, held flat by a mess tin on one corner. 3 paragraphs. The 4th paragraph was 2 sentences. The order came just after the 2nd sentence. He picked up the mess tin. He looked at the letter. He picked it up and shook the dirt from the bottom edge. He folded it once, fast, without creasing it properly, and put it in his coat. He was moving in 4 minutes. The letter was still in his coat 6 days later, folded badly, the ink smeared where the fold had been hasty. He took it out once and looked at it and put it back. The 4th paragraph still had 2 sentences. He did not add a 3rd. He did not write another letter that month. The one in his coat stayed there until the coat was lost. Some letters were found later, in pockets, in notebooks, once inside a boot. Some were finished, some stopped mid-sentence, some were folded, some were left open. In coats, in the breast pockets of jackets, folded into the backs of small notebooks. Inside a boot once, a detail recorded in a unit diary from the Italian campaign. The letters found in pockets were sometimes complete, finished, sealed, addressed, but never handed to anyone who could have moved them forward. The letters found open were often incomplete. A name at the top, a few sentences, a line where the writing stopped. Some had been folded, a gesture toward return. Some had not. The page found open as it had been left, as if the writer had stood up mid-sentence and walked away intending to come back. Some of those writers came back. Some did not. The letters stayed where they were either way. A soldier sat outside his position in the early morning. The light was just starting. The ground in front of him was gray and still. He had a page in his hands he had been carrying for 11 days. He turned it over once, then read it through. He took the pen from his pocket. He uncapped it. He held it above the page. The pen slipped. He didn't pick it up. He sat with the page in both hands for another moment. Then he folded it and put it in the pocket where he kept the others. He sat for another minute, looking at the field in front of him. Then he stood up and went back inside. He was wounded later that week. The pages in his pocket were returned to his unit. No one knew who they were addressed to. A tent. The Pacific. Morning. The soldier took out the folded blank page again. He unfolded it carefully on the table and pressed it flat with his palm. He picked up the pen. He held it over the page for a long time. The tent fabric shifted in a slight breeze. He put the pen down. He looked at the page for another moment. He folded it again along the same crease. He put it back under the mattress. He went outside into the heat. The sun was already up. He tried again the following week. The page stayed blank. He stopped trying after that. Some of these letters still exist, in archives, in family collections, in drawers that have not been opened in decades. A name at the top, a few lines, then nothing. Folded once, carried a long way, never sent. If moments like these, specific, quiet, and human, are the kind that stay with you, consider subscribing. Leave your thoughts in the comments below.